All right. Hey, everybody. We are doing another episode of this, third hour of power. I'm Grady of This Mormon Life. We just wanted to just give you a couple seconds here to join us as we go live. And I'm joined with Corey Andrews. We'll begin the actual official podcast part in a quick second here, but we just wanted to give you guys a rundown of how the process works for those of you who may be watching for the first time. What we do is we do this live. So those people who are watching, people like Cameron, who says, Corey, can make some comments here to join the conversation so that it's not just me and Corey going back and forth, although that's a wonderful thing for us to do. We want you guys to be involved, have read the lesson, or you hear us talking about the lesson and you have thoughts about it. Please feel free to chime in, ask questions, leave comments. And as we go, we'll try our best to bring up as many of those as we can, so that you guys can also be part of this as we go. So here we go. Oh, my wife, Our Crazy Adventure, she says that she loves the plaid shirts. I know, we didn't even plan this.
Yeah, it just kind of happened, yeah.
Which is amazing because Christy hardly ever watches my podcast unless she's on it. So, honey, thank you so much. I appreciate you for joining us tonight.
It was because we had the matching attire that it is.
Like, I know. Check this out. she was scrolling, and all of a sudden she's like, double plaid? What? That was
exactly.
Sealed it.
Exactly.
All right. Well, enough of that. And if you guys are joining us on the replay, still leave comments down below. I'll be in the comments. Corey will probably stop by and leave some comments too. So if you have questions and you're watching us on the replay, join us. We'd love to have you. All right. So let's start for real. And Corey, you're recording your audio, right?
Yes, sir. I'm rolling.
Okay, so am I. I almost didn't. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Third Hour of Power. This is Grady of This Mormon Life, and this week I am joined by Corey Andrews of High Five. How's it going, Corey?
So good. I'm excited to be a part of this, so thanks for letting me come on.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Now, for those of you who might not know what High Five is besides this, what is it? Tell me just a quick rundown of what you guys do.
Okay, so basically it's a short spiritual thought every day. And so I got together with a couple of great teachers that I know and love, and we decided we want to share something good online. So we share these short little thoughts on Facebook Live every day, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
Every day? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's it. Today, we're lesson of the Gordon B. Hinckley match is we look to Christ. Wonderful lesson for on plan. You should be having this lesson on Easter. I mean, it's a perfect lesson about Jesus Christ's life, and it's so much about him. It's a pretty big lesson, so it was hard for us to pick our favorites from it. But Corey, why don't you open us up and share something that you loved about this lesson?
Oh, I've been thinking, I don't know why, but with conference coming on and this being around the time where I left on my mission, I've been thinking a lot about President Hinckley because I actually shared this in a High Five a couple days ago that I finished my papers and put my papers in the day President Hinckley passed away, and I was kind of sad and kind of bummed about that because he didn't end up signing my call letter. It was President Monson. But I had a really cool experience and came to know in a real way that President Monson is a prophet. So, but it's had President Hinckley in my mind, and as I think about him, one of the things I love about him is the way he would talk and testify of the Savior Jesus Christ. And so I love jumping into this lesson and to really feel his testimony. I really felt like as I was reading this lesson that President Hinckley knew him in a very real way. And so it was kind of fun to see his thoughts and to feel his testimony.
Yeah, he has such a powerful testimony. When he would deliver it, there was never a doubt that he knew. Like, even if I was struggling or any of those things going on, I couldn't doubt that he knew it. One of the things I loved about this lesson is in the beginning, it's talking about from the life of Gordon, about him doing a tour of the temple, and someone asked him, we don't see any crosses, so you don't have crosses, then what's the symbol of your religion? And President Hinckley talked about the lives of the members being that symbol. He says that no sign, no work of art, no representation of form, but to express the glory and wonder of the living Christ. He told us what that symbol should be when he said, "If ye love me, keep my commandments." I'm really enjoying their Easter initiatives, especially the one right now with Prince of Peace, where it's a time for us to look for those symbols of Jesus Christ. Those people that are living good lives, that are overcoming hard things, showing faith, having compassion. I love these posts that are coming out right now.
Yeah, me too. And one of the things I was thinking of as I was reading through this lesson, because I kind of have that in the back of my mind with Prince of Peace. I was reading through the lesson and just thinking about some of the hard things that the Savior went through. Is one of the parts says where President Hinckley says, "A few followed him, but most hated him." He spoke of scribes and Pharisees, right? And it talks about how he was homeless, right? His life wasn't that peaceful. Yet he's the Prince of Peace. And so I one of the parts that I loved and where I feel like he really becomes the Prince of Peace in a real personal way in my life is where President Hinckley kind of I think this is the first, the first section. So section number 1, he talks about the angels in the tomb when Mary and them come, and he says, "These simple words, 'He is not here, but is risen,' have become the most profound in all literature." And I think that's the moment, right? That's the moment when Christ really becomes that Prince of Peace. Because when you think about the least peaceful moments of our life, for me anyways, I think of when people pass away. It's sad and it's hard and it's difficult and you feel lonely sometimes. But because of Christ, because of the resurrection, there is peace. My grandpa. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and it's a perfect contrast because, like you said, his life wasn't peaceful, but that's the same for all of us. We all have turmoil in life. Now, not to the degree that the Savior experienced, but the fact that he could still be the Prince of Peace, still be able to bring that to us, because he's been through it. He knows what it's like to experience the things that we experienced. Mm-hmm. And so that's how he knows how to bring the peace that we need. Yeah.
And I felt that last year. I guess it's been almost 2 years now. My grandpa passed away. And my grandpa growing up, he was my best friend. I could talk to him about anything, and he was just such a good grandpa. And so when he passed away, it was rough. I had a rough time, and I knew about the resurrection before, and I knew that I was going to see him again, but it's still sad, and but I have truly, since that time, I've truly felt the Savior in my life, helping me and bringing me peace and helping me to remember and to know that because of the resurrection, I will see my grandpa again, and one day I'll get to give him a big bear hug again, and so I look forward to that moment.
And we can suppose that we understand, but go through it, we just don't know until we have someone that really means a lot to us pass away. That's when the resurrection becomes real to us. That's where that whole principle goes, oh, this is not just a principle. This is a fact. This is a truth. And this is something that brings me peace. What was it? Last Hallelujah, talking about the blessings of the temple and blessings of Jesus Christ, to know that because he died and was resurrected, everyone can be resurrected. And, that brings comfort and that brings peace to us with that knowledge. I love in the lesson they quote Doctrine and Covenants 76, 20, and he says, and now after the many testimonies which have been given of him, this is the testimony last of all which we give of him. He lives. And I love that. I love that verse. It's just saying, I know people have said this before, but I was that Jesus lives and all the blessings that are available to us through that. It goes on. It talks about, especially President Hinckley gives like an accounting of all of Jesus Christ's life, talks about his earthly ministry, suffering in the garden, his resurrection. And there's so much there. It would take almost a lesson to take each of those in turn. I mean, it's a lot for that. But I think the most important thing that we need to realize here is the idea that, because Jesus Christ suffered and because he was resurrected, there's so many things that are blessings for us. And I would lesson, go to Mormon.org and check out the Prince of Peace section there and learn more about those principles. They're great ways to supplement and help enhance this lesson and give those learners something additional to go home and do as a result of this.
Yeah, I'm excited for getting closer to Easter. Easter is one of my favorite times of the year just because it's spring and it's been snowing here in Utah all winter, and I'm just sick of that, right? So I'm ready. I'm ready for some sunshine. I'm ready to see the sun, right? And I love that that we also when we actually start to see the sun rise here in Utah is also when we celebrate the sun rising at Easter time. And so what a great and wonderful time of the year, and to remember him, to think of him, and then to look for opportunities to share the peace and joy that he's brought into our life with others by participating in the Easter program and in other ways.
Yeah. In fact, Corey, did you share anything with the Prince of Peace campaign? Did you have any posts that were about that?
So I run a video program called Happily Ever After Project, and we put a post together. We interviewed Richard Norby's grandchildren. Richard Norby was one of the people who was one of the missionaries who was in the Brussels airport when the bombs went off last year. And so his family approached me and asked me to interview his grandchildren, and I was grateful for the opportunity. And we put together a pretty inspiring video. And then we also, for High Five, we have a video coming out probably tomorrow. We went down during conference time and interviewed some people about the Prince of Peace. And so I'm excited about that as well. So we'll probably post that on the High Fives page tomorrow.
Perfect. So if you're watching us live, then you'll see it tomorrow. But if you're listening to the audio, it's probably available for you right now. So go over and check that out. And the thing that I loved about the video with Elder Norby's grandkids is, and I don't want to spoil it, but towards the end, there's one of his granddaughters, and she's just saying, because of this, I now have a testimony. And as you think about these hard things, and people that are so kind and so nice, and then you see some of the outcome now of changing people that doubted before, saying, I know that he lives. And that's one of the things that's part of this experience, is going through trials and realizing, are we going to look to Christ for peace? One of the things they talk about in the lesson is about the two apostles that were going to Emmaus, and Jesus appears to them, and they're not quite sure it's him. They just see him as another traveler. They say, come on, hang out with us. Let's go have dinner. And then all of a sudden he's gone. And they're like, what happened? And they realize, that was Jesus Christ. And they're trying to figure out, why. And I love it in verse, it's Luke, what is it now? Luke 24, in verse 32, they're talking to each other, and they realize it's the Christ, because he says, did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us by the way, and while he opened up the scriptures? That's how we can feel Prince of Peace. That's how we can feel the peace that he brings. We feel that burning in our hearts that provides comfort, that helps us to know like he's there. And we know that we're close to him when we feel that comfort that comes. One of the posts that I shared with Prince of Peace talks about my sister. And she spent some time away from the church, and she recently came back a few years ago. But it's not easy. She comes alone. Her members, her husband's not a member of the, sort of keep coming every Sunday, and she sees the blessings of that. Well, Corey, is there anything else from the lesson that you want to share?
Let's see. I did have one more highlighted spot here. Just again, that the beautiful symbolism of the beauty that comes from the ashes, right? That idea that Christ, because and President Hinckley's testimony of Christ's atonement, that through the atonement, we can be cleansed, and we can be healed, and we can be strengthened. The atonement of Jesus Christ has that power that can lift us, and that can make the things that are hard or difficult or even dirty become white as snow. And I'm just grateful for that. And I just want to, if that's okay, I want to share my testimony that I know that Jesus
Please.
is the Christ. I know that He lives, and I have felt the peace that He brings in my life, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity to share in a little way and in small ways that testimony and the peace that He's brought me.
I have loved being able to read a lot of these stories for Prince of Peace, because it helps make the Savior a little bit more real when you see Him blessing people, when you see Him interacting in people's lives, and when you see those kinds of things, you start to reflect and you start to be able to see how He affected your own life. And that's what I've seen. It gives me a chance to reflect on my life, and the places where I've seen the Savior bless me, the places where I've had doubts and I've had fears of my environment and where I was at, and just saying, I don't know where to turn except for to You. I've done everything that I can, which is probably the wrong way of doing things. I probably should have turned to Him first. But that's what He does to get us back to Him sometimes. And so I remember when we were moving into this house, we moved here about a year ago, and all of a sudden, like, things fell through, and our loan wasn't going to, and we're going to move out of our place. We already told them we were leaving on a certain date, and we were like, what are we going to do? We are going to be homeless. But my loan officer is fantastically amazing. Ken Starks, look him up. And he came through. But I spent about a day in agony wondering what was going to happen to our situation here. And I remember just praying and like, I don't know what to do anymore. And He's like, look at your life. Look at everything that I've given you and all these experiences you've had where you've come close and you've been delivered. I know what's going on. I will help you and protect you. And like, all of a sudden, like, I was fine. I didn't have any more worries. Even though at that moment the answer was no, we're not going to give you, you're homeless in 2 weeks or in 2 days. Whatever happens, it'll be fine. But that anyone would have told me otherwise. It comes from the Prince of Peace, and it comes from Jesus Christ. And I find that, He lives and He helps us and have our hearts mended. Yeah.
And that what you just said reminded me of a quote from Elder Holland. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's the quote that some blessings come soon and some blessings come late and some don't come till heaven, but for those who are faithful, they will come. And I'm so grateful for that. And that's the hope, right, that we get in knowing the Savior and striving to follow Him, and that and from Preach My Gospel, where it says all that's unfair about life will be made right one day through the Savior Jesus Christ. And so I'm grateful for those truths and to have that hope in Him.
Yeah, and I love that you say it's through the Savior Jesus Christ. It's something that I've been trying to change my language on, because I think it was President Nelson talked about at General Conference how we kind of give our credit to the atonement, but it's not the atonement that did these things. It's Jesus Christ that did these things, and we reference His atonement, but it's Jesus Christ who we owe this to. And so I've been trying to change my verbiage a little bit. For those of you who are joining us live, if you guys have any questions for us to discuss, we'd be glad to talk about it. But I want to give Corey a chance to just talk about maybe anything else you have going on right now that people should check out if they're listening.
Again, like I mentioned at the beginning, we're starting up High Five Live. We've only been going for a week or two now, but we're just over a week. But we're having a lot of fun sharing just uplifting thoughts daily through Facebook Live, and we're just on Facebook at this point, but eventually we're going to spread out to some other social media networks and start sharing some uplifting thoughts. But we've just thought in the back of my mind, I've been thinking a lot about Elder Bednar's 2014 Education Week talk, where we talked about flooding the earth with the gospel, and so I'm great. It's kind of fun to jump in and feel like we're sharing good messages and uplifting people. And then the other project that I have going on is Happily Ever After Project, where I interview fun and awesome people. We've just last year we were able to interview Ty Detmer and Richard Norby, like you mentioned, and Brad Wilcox and a whole bunch of other incredible people. And so that's been a blast, and I've learned so much from those interviews that I've had the opportunity to do. So I'd love it if you want and would like to see those uplifting messages. If you'd go over and like High Five's Facebook page and then Happily Ever After Project too, if you'd like. And we'll start
and we'll put links to those
messages
in the show notes too.
Awesome.
So if you're listening to this in the podcast, just go to this-woman-life and look for the show notes for this episode. We'll have links to all that stuff for you guys because we want to make sure that you guys check it out because it is uplifting and it is good. And I've been a big proponent too of Elder Bednar's message that we should share goodness.
Yeah. Thank
internet.
you. Thank you, Grady. I love what you're doing.
Last night I shared it. We